The July heat pressed down on my parents' backyard while smoke curled up from the grill. My brother Marcus stood there like royalty, flipping burgers with theatrical flourish, while his wife Jennifer filmed the whole scene for her followers. Their twin sons, decked out in sneakers pricier than my entire monthly food budget, chased each other across the lawn. My son Daniel, just 7 years old, pulled on my sleeve. "Mom, can I get a burger? I'm starving." I looked down and smiled. "Sure thing, sweetie. Let's go ask your uncle." We walked toward the grill where Marcus was in the middle of bragging to Dad and our cousin Trevor about opening his third auto repair shop, a topic he hadn't dropped in weeks. "Uncle Marcus," Daniel asked politely, "can I please have a burger?" Marcus glanced down at my boy, then over at me, then back at Daniel, his face twisting into that familiar blend of pity and disdain. "Those are reserved for kids with a real future," he announced, loud enough for the whole yard to hear. "Kids whose parents can actually take care of them." Everything went silent. Dad shifted uncomfortably but stayed quiet. Mom suddenly found the potato salad fascinating. Jennifer let out that shrill laugh she always gave whenever Marcus said something cutting. Trevor just shook his head and walked off. Aunt Patricia, sipping her wine from a lawn chair, nodded along. "Marcus isn't wrong, honey. You should really be thinking about Daniel's future instead of that cramped little apartment you rent. Isn't it time you got serious about a real career?" Uncle Robert strolled over from the drinks table, wearing his usual smug grin. "My financial advisor was just talking to me about investment opportunities, real wealth-building moves. If you'd made smarter choices earlier, you'd be able to give Daniel what he actually needs. Still not too late to turn things around, though." Marcus flipped another patty, soaking up the attention. "Not everybody's cut out for business," he said. "It takes vision. It takes real sacrifice. Not everyone has that drive." Daniel's grip on my hand tightened. I could tell he was fighting back tears. My 7-year-old was learning in real time what it felt like to be looked down on by his own blood. "Got it," I said softly, taking the paper plate out of Daniel's hands and setting it back down. "Come on, baby, let's head home." "But I'm hungry," he whispered. "I know, we'll grab something on the way." As we headed for the gate, Marcus called after us. "Don't forget about the family investment meeting next week." "Oh, wait, that's only for people who actually pull their weight around here." More laughing followed. I didn't stop walking, my hand steady on Daniel's shoulder. Once we were in the car, Daniel finally broke down. "Why doesn't Uncle Marcus like us?" "It's complicated, sweetheart." "Is it because we don't have a big house like he does?" I gripped the wheel harder. "Your uncle doesn't understand our life, and that's fine." We pulled into a diner on the way, one of those retro chrome and vinyl spots serving breakfast around the clock. Daniel ordered a burger with fries and extra pickles, and I sat there watching him eat while thinking back over the last 5 years, over every decision my family had labeled a failure. The late-night calls with Tokyo and London nobody knew about, the boardroom negotiations and acquisitions that happened far from their view. Daniel wiped ketchup off his chin. "This burger's really good, Mom. Better than whatever Uncle Marcus would have made." He grinned. Way better. That grin made the whole day worth it. That night, once Daniel was tucked in, I sat alone in my modest living room with a cup of tea. The apartment wasn't much by my family's standards, but it was mine, and it was exactly what I needed. At 11:55, my phone lit up with a text from Marcus. "Just so you know, walking out like that today in front of everyone was disrespectful. Remember who guaranteed your business loan when you were starting that little consulting thing 5 years back? Remember who believed in you when no one else did? You owe me some respect." I stared at the screen. That little consulting thing, that's what he'd always called it. 5 years ago, when I'd asked him to help me launch my financial consulting firm, he'd practically laughed in my face. I'd gone to him because he was my big brother and I'd always admired him. "You a consultant?" he'd said. "You barely made it through college. Who's going to trust you with their money?" When I applied for a small business loan, the bank needed a guarantor. Marcus finally agreed, but only after making me grovel, and only after using it against me at every single family event since. He signed those papers fully expecting me to fail within a year, certain he'd never have to pay a cent. What Marcus never found out was what happened 6 months after he signed that guarantee. I opened my laptop and pulled up documents I'd already reviewed earlier that day. Bank records, transfer paperwork, ownership filings. Then I started typing my reply. Marcus, thanks for bringing up the loan guarantee. I've actually been wanting to talk to you about that. I'm sending over the bank ownership transfer records. As of 14 months ago, I own First National Bank, the very bank holding the loans on all 3 of your auto shops, the same bank that financed your expansion. I also hold the mortgage on Mom and Dad's house, the one you refinanced last year for your second location. Check your inbox. I hit send, attached the files, then followed up with a second message. Also attached is the default notice going out to you tomorrow morning. You're 3 days behind on your payment for the 3rd shop. The grace period expired today. Under new management, we've tightened our policies. My phone rang instantly. Marcus. I let it go to voicemail and instead forwarded him one more file, the purchase agreement from 14 months ago when my investment firm acquired First National, the same bank he'd banked with for years without ever knowing who was really behind it. My phone kept buzzing. Marcus, then Jennifer, then someone else entirely. I muted it and sent one final email, this one to the bank's senior loan officer, CEing Marcus. Please move forward with standard late payment procedures for Marcus Thompson's account. The 3-day notice has already been issued. Next comes formal default proceedings, including potential acceleration of the full balance. He's got 72 hours to bring everything current, penalties included. The calls didn't stop. I brewed another cup of tea. Finally, around 12:30, I picked up. "What is this?" Marcus yelled before I could even say hello. "You own the bank? That's not possible. You're a consultant. You live in some tiny apartment." "I am a consultant," I said evenly. "I advise Fortune 500 companies on acquisitions. My firm manages portfolios for several high-net-worth clients. We bought First National 14 months ago as part of a broader strategy." "This is insane. You can't do this to family." "Do what, Marcus? Enforce normal banking procedures? You're 3 days late on a payment. There's always a grace period." There was. It ran out tonight. New ownership rolled out stricter rules last quarter. You'd have known that if you'd actually read the notices or asked me one real question about my career instead of calling it that little consulting thing. Jennifer's voice screeched somewhere behind him. "Tell her about the post. Tell her we'll destroy her reputation." I took another sip of tea. "Marcus, you're currently in default on $340,000 in business loans. Your shops are leveraged at 92%. If I call those loans, you lose everything within about 6 weeks. I'd suggest focusing on the payment instead of social media threats." "You wouldn't actually do that. We're family." "Family?" I repeated. "Is that what you called it when you told Daniel burgers were only for kids with a future? When you humiliated a 7-year-old at a barbecue?" Silence. "Here's how this works," I continued. "You've got 72 hours to make the payment plus late fees, $12,800 total. After that, standard default protocol kicks in." "I don't have that kind of cash. It's all tied up in inventory." "Then you should have paid on time." "Please," Marcus said, and for the first time ever, I heard fear in his voice. "Can't you extend the grace period? For family? The same family that mocked my son today? The same family that spent 5 years throwing that loan guarantee in my face? For the record, I paid that loan off 4 years ago. You just enjoyed holding it over me too much to mention it." Dad's voice cut in, apparently on speakerphone. "Sweetheart, let's be reasonable. Marcus made a mistake today. He'll apologize." "Will he, Dad? Because you were standing right there when he refused to feed your grandson. And you said nothing." Mom's voice followed, shaky. "We didn't realize it would hurt Daniel like that. You're being vindictive. I'm being a banker. If Marcus were any other client, he'd already be in formal proceedings. 72 hours is a courtesy." "What do you want?" Marcus asked. "An apology." "Fine. I'm sorry I said that to Daniel. Happy?" "I don't want anything from you, Marcus. I want you to pay your loan on time, like your contract requires. Whether you apologize to Daniel is between you and your own conscience. Jennifer was crying in the background. Dad was still trying to negotiate. Mom kept asking how any of this happened. Then Uncle Robert's voice joined in. "This is extortion. I know lawyers." "Wonderful," I said. "Have them look over the loan documents. They'll tell you everything I'm doing is completely legal, standard banking practice. Honestly, Marcus has been getting preferential treatment for 14 months because I told the loan department to leave his account alone. That courtesy just ended." I hung up and blocked every number for the night. I needed rest. The next morning, I woke up to 73 missed calls and 42 texts. I ignored all of them and made Daniel pancakes. "You okay, Mom?" he asked, watching my face closely. "I'm great, honey. Eat up." At 9, my phone rang from an unfamiliar number. I answered. "This is David Park, Marcus Thompson's attorney. We need to talk about these loan acceleration threats." "Mr. Park, there are no threats here, just a signed contract and standard procedures that apply to every borrower. Marcus is in default. He has 68 hours left to fix it." "My client tells me you're his sister. That's a clear conflict of interest." "I own the bank. My brother is a customer. There's no conflict. If anything, he's been getting special treatment, and that's over now. 68 hours, Mr. Park." I hung up. At 10, the bank's senior loan officer called. "Ms. Thompson, we've gotten several calls from Marcus Thompson's lawyer. How would you like us to handle this?" "Standard protocol, no exceptions. If he doesn't cure the default in time, start acceleration on all 3 loans." "Understood. Also, we received his payment this morning, $12,800, wired at 9:45. I smiled. "Good. Confirm receipt and update his file. And going forward, Marcus Thompson is treated like any other commercial borrower, no exceptions." "Of course. Will you be at the board meeting this afternoon?" "Yes, I need to go over the Q3 numbers." After hanging up, I sat quietly for a while. Marcus had scraped the money together somehow, probably borrowed from Dad or sold something off. Didn't matter. He'd paid. A text came in from a new number. "Dad, your mother is very upset. This isn't who you are." I replied, "This is exactly who I am. You just never asked." 3 days later, a certified letter arrived, an apology from Marcus to Daniel, carefully worded, clearly drafted by his lawyer. It meant little, but it was something. 2 weeks after that, at Mom's birthday dinner, the mood had shifted. Marcus and Jennifer showed up late and left early. No one brought up my apartment or my job. No one made a single comment about Daniel's future. When Daniel asked his uncle for a slice of cake, Marcus said yes right away and cut him an extra large piece. Small victories. That night, tucking Daniel in, he said, "Uncle Marcus was nicer today." "Yes, he was." "Did you talk to him?" "In a way." "Good," Daniel said, yawning. "I like it better when people are nice." I kissed his forehead. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Later, in my home office, I went through the bank's quarterly numbers. First National was outperforming projections. The acquisition had turned out to be one of my smartest moves, not because of Marcus, but because it was a solid investment securing Daniel's actual future. The same future my family had mocked over a grill. The future I'd been quietly building while they assumed I was falling behind. My phone buzzed again, an email from Trevor, my cousin who'd walked away from the grill that day. I heard what happened. "Good for you." Marcus needed that lesson. Also, my company's looking for a financial consultant for an upcoming acquisition. "Any chance you're taking new clients?" I smiled and typed back, "Send me the details. Happy to take a look." The next family gathering would be interesting, but that was okay. I'd spent 5 years being underestimated. I could handle being respected or feared. Either worked. What mattered was that Daniel would never again hear that he didn't have a future, because his mother had been building that future the whole time, one acquisition at a time, one investment at a time, while everyone else was too busy judging to notice. Sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the most power. They just wait to show it until it's absolutely necessary. And denying a hungry child a burger at a family barbecue made it necessary.